Welcome in the 5th episode. Today we will carry on working on our game. We will restructure some code. We will tidy up the implementation so the structure of the code is a bit better. And also we will create a few more classes and add it to our game. If you want to help support this channel, hit the subscribe button below this video, turn on notification so you will not miss any future episode I release. And also, if you want to get the full version of the project, including the source code, go to my website, CodePlanStudio.com, go to the Buy Unity project, and you can purchase the Color Balls project directly from the website. This code is going to be exactly the same what we are creating in the tutorial, but you can get it quicker without watching the full series. So, let's first of all open our project, and I will add few more scripts to the game. So we will separate our game logic into the states, and we're going to switch the states. We will use our game manager class, which we already have, to switching on different game states, and we will add the game data class to actually store all of the variables within the game itself. So let's first of all add a few more scripts. So go to the scripts folder, right click, create folder, and for the folder I will add the state folder. Inside this folder let's add all of the game states. So first of all, let's create C# script. I will call it iGameState. Another script will be the game init state. Then let's create another one which will be the game playing state. And one more. This is gonna be the game over state. Now let's go to the one folder above, to the scripts, and inside the scripts let's add the game data. So right click, create C# script, and then game data. Game data. Okay, we have all of the required scripts. Let's go open the game manager script. Okay, and we will do some organization. We will change the structure of the project. So we will move all of the spawning logic to our game init state, and we will move all of the variables from here to our game data. So let's copy all of these offsets and then all of these variables. So I'm gonna cut it, and let's open the game data. Let's delete the start and the update method, and I will paste it inside this class. Okay, and also we will make this variables public and public, and also I will make the square numbers public, so we can access this variable from outside this class. Okay, we can save this class now. Let's go back to our game manager class, and we're gonna copy the spawn grid squares function. Actually, we're gonna cut it from here, and then let's go to our states. Let's go to the game init state, and let's paste it here. Okay, now we wanna do some initialization of our states. So first of all, let's implement the iGameState. So this is gonna be interface, not the class. So we will change this to be interface, and we will not inherit from anything. Okay, and let's remove the start and then update method, and we will create three functions. So void enter, void update, and then void exit. Okay, so this is basically the function we will have for every single state, and every single state in our game will inherit from this iGame state. So now let's open our game init state, and let's change this mono behavior to iGame state. So we will inherit from the iGame state, and also because we inherit from interface, we need to override provide implementation for all of the functions which are defined in the interface. So we need to have all of those functions implemented. So I'm just gonna copy it from here, and I will just remove the start and then update method and paste it there. Okay, and we will just create the body and then exit as well. Okay, I will make them public. And for each of them, I will just return throw new system not implemented exception. So actually without the return. So if we will try call this function, we will have the system error, so we will know that this function is not implemented and shouldn't be used. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this to all of the functions, okay, until we implement this. So we have the game init state. I'm gonna do exactly the same for other states. So let's go to the gameplay state. Let's remove everything. Let's paste it the iGame state, and now I will use just the rider functionality to actually implement all of these missing functions. So implement missing members, and I will just select 3 of them and hit OK. So the rider actually give me all of the implementation which I need. I will go also to the game over state and then iGame state, and also suggestion is there. This actually suggestion was from the CodePilot, which I have, and works quite well. Okay, and then we have some problems in the game init state, as you see, and the game manager. Let's go to the game manager first, and let's in the start function. Actually, we want to remove the spawn grid squares. Let's add few bits. So first of all, we want to implement the dictionary of our state, and we want to provide the enum for the states. So let's call public enum, and it's going to be the game state, and now we want to get enum init, then playing, and then game over. Okay, so that's our values, because we have the same states created. So now let's call a dictionary, private dictionary, and this is very nice suggestion because this is exactly what I need. So first of all, we want to grab our enum game state, and we want to actually match this game state with the iGame state implementation, which is going to be one of this state class, and we want to store it in the dictionary, so then later we can switch the states based on this enum. So let's actually now get 2 more variables, which will be private iGame state current state, and then private game state current state type. Okay, and now in the start method we want to create those 3 states. So game states, and as you see, this is exactly what I need, and this is actually from the CodePilot and this is suggestion which was generated for me and is very good. So I just gonna hit tab, and we first of all need to create all of the 3 different states which we have, because as you can see, all of the states class does not inherit from mono behavior. They inherit from the iGame state. So because they do not inherit from mono behavior, you cannot actually grab them and attach them in the Unity editor. You need to actually work with them from the code only. So let's go back to the game manager. And now, as you see, I have also suggestion to create the function called the game change state. And this is what we need to do. So let's go below the update method, and let's call this public void change state and we want to call the game state is going to be state. Actually, let's call it game state. And then we want to set our current state type will be equal to game state. Then we want to exit the current state which we have, so current state, but we want to check if the current state is actually not null. So if this is the first time we're switching the states, we want to make sure it's not crashing, so I will put the question mark here and then exit. So we want to exit the first state if it's set. Then we want to set the new state, which gonna be the current state, equal to game states at game state, because this is the dictionary, so we can reference the dictionary using the enum. And then we want to call the enter function on the new state, so current state dot enter. And also, just to be sure, to be safe, I will put the question mark here, so if for any reason the current state is null, we will not crash. It's just not gonna call it. So that's pretty much it for we have to do for this change state function. Also, I want to add one more function here. Below will be public void, and it's gonna be the clear state. So inside the clear state, I will call the current state. If it's not null, we're gonna call exit. So we will making sure that we call the exit functionality, and then current state will be equal to null. Okay, and then in our update function, because this class, as you can see, inherit from the mono behavior, so that means the start and an update function will be called, because we're gonna this class will be attached to the Unity editor. The update function and start function will be called. So I'll just put actually public here and then public on the update, and inside the update function we're gonna call the current state question mark dot update. So if the current state is not null, then we're gonna call the update function. So we're gonna keep update that bit. Okay, so that's it. And as you see, in the start method, we're also calling the change state, and we're passing the game init function. So we will switch to our game init state, and this is where we have the functionality to spawn the grid square. And now we have, let's go to the game init state class and let's solve all of these issues which we have over here. So all of this function, all of these variables are stored now in our game data class, but we cannot really get component or anything like that because this is not mono behavior class. So what we will actually provide the constructor which will be accepting the game init, the game data object. So let's actually store that object. So private read only and game data. Game data, okay. And now let's create the constructor for this class. So public game init state, we're gonna accept the game data object, and we're gonna set our game data to be equal to that object. So now we want to grab our game data, and for all of these issues we're going to call actually the square numbers from the game data. So game data dot square numbers, and also the game data start position, and then for the y as well, and here, and for the offset we're going to call it from the game data, okay, and then square object is also going to be taken from the game data. So as you see, we have some highlights, cannot access the static square number. So let's see if this is static. Okay, so this is because we try to call this a variable using our object, but this is the constant field in our class. So instead of calling the object, we have to actually call this variable using the class name. So instead of game data, let's call the class name to access this variable. Right? So make sure you put the game data here, and then all is good. And now the instantiate method is not actually found, and this is because we not inherit from the mono behavior. In order to fix this issue, let's first go right at the top and make sure you have the using Unity engine at the top, and then to call this instantiate function, we're gonna call object dot instantiate. This is still calling the same function, but we access it through the objects. Okay, let's save this class, and now let's go back to our game manager, because we have provided the constructor for this class, which is going to accept the game init state, and the game manager actually does not have that yet. So inside our game manager, where we're actually creating the states, we need to get our game data class. So right at the top, let's actually add public game data, and we're gonna get the game data. This game data will be set from the editor. Let's call this game data and add it to the game init state. And we actually want to do the same for other states, but we're gonna do that in the later tutorial, so don't worry about it now. We're going to do exactly the same as we did in the init state. So there's one more thing which we forgot to do, is let's go back to our game init state class, and we actually need to call this spawn grid squares function from our enter state. And let's remove this throwing from the update and from the exit, because we don't need that here. And now our game data is ready. So all of the classes are ready now. We can actually save everything. And now let's go back to Unity, and let's go to the scenes, game scene. We need to now create the game data object. So right click, create empty, game data, and inside our game data object, let's add the game data class, game data, square object. This is gonna be our prefabs square. So let's grab our prefab and drop it into this square object, and all of those values will stay the same. They are set from the script. You can change it that if you like. but I will just keep it as they are for now. And now our game manager, if you click on the game manager, you will see that everything disappeared from it, what was previously, and now we need to actually initialize our game data. So I just grab the game data which I created and drop it inside this variable. And that's pretty much it, what we have to do. So now let's test this game. So I can hit play. And now everything is the same as it was before. The only difference we make is we structured our code a bit better. So the code will be cleaner and will be easier to follow. And I think that's good change. So hopefully you didn't have any issue with that. If you did, please go through the video again and just make sure you did everything what I've done in this video. It shouldn't be too difficult, it's just few more classes and some copy pasting. So I hope you like this episode. If you do, please consider subscribing, and I will see you again in the next episode.